Ma! No! I cannot hear the message when you're holding your cell phone up to an answering machine. I gotta go. And now, reporting from the Reserve Mobilization Museum, Sergeant Adam Schweitzer shows us that we come from a long line of people waiting in long lines. Was that you again, VanKlompenberg? See if I let you back into the Romeo section.
The exhibits on your screen are being seen by the public for the very first time. The Army Reserve Mobilization Museum on Fort Dix is currently closed to the public. The man giving us the tour is museum curator Dan Zimmerman. He's been working here since 1983 when it was first founded as a Fort Dix History Museum. In 2007, the decision was made to close the museum for renovations and update the exhibits to make it more relevant to Fort Dix current service members and their families by bringing a new focus on mobilization to the museum's content. Mr. Zimmerman has been working on the museum and the renovations largely on his own since the beginning. He has collected images and artifacts dating back from the first personnel mobilized during the Revolutionary War and added his own wealth of knowledge culled from a PhD in history from the University of New Mexico to create a picture of the reserves at war that few have seen. While many of the exhibits are near completion, there is one important element that Mr. Zimmerman is looking forward to finishing for the good of the troops.
What we don't have up is the text, the labels. And it is through the labels that I hope to bring out my own prejudice. And that is that, okay, we're doing the same things over again. And I'm hoping that someone will look at that and read that label and say, geez, why aren't we doing that? We did that in the Revolutionary War. Why are we still doing it during the Korean War, or the Civil War, and why are we still doing it during the Spanish-American War? And maybe take away from that something that, you can go back to your unit and say, listen, after visiting the Mobilization Museum, I have a better idea of how mobilization works.
Some of the issues Mr. Zimmerman hopes can be resolved in regards to the mobilization of American armed forces include difficulties in maintaining manpower, rationing of food, clothing, and shelter, and proper use of time spent training the soldiers prior to being shipped to areas of conflict. The changes to the museum taking place include nearly doubling the size of the display floor, building a new roof and sprinkler system to safeguard the various artifacts, and bringing the exhibits up to date with information including a wall display of all of the units that have mobilized through Fort Dix for the global war on terror. The museum is expected to reopen by the end of the year, but until then, more information on the history of Fort Dix can be found at the base website, www.dix.army.mil. Reporting for the 139th MPAD, I'm Army Sergeant Adam Schweitzer.
Few things are more exciting than a closed museum. And now, Sergeant Keith VanKlompenberg takes us inside the Modern Army Combatives Program, or MACP. MACP was actually my nickname in college.
Soldiers usually use rifles as their primary weapons, but they don't always need firearms to defend themselves. The instructors of the Fort Dix Modern Army Combatives Program are teaching deploying service members how to prepare for unarmed hand-to-hand combat. The 4-level course is designed to increase physical fitness and build confidence while providing an essential tool for survival in combat.
I mean, basically, it kind of forces you to, to stay in shape. It gives you something to strive for. It's a competition form, but it transitions easily onto the battlefield. Competition breeds excellence, and that's what we're going for with this.
After completing the week-long course, Level 1 students are prepared to defend their lives in unarmed combat. They are also certified to teach the lessons to other soldiers in their units. The instructors seem to enjoy helping prepare soldiers, sailors, and airmen for overseas deployments.
I love being up here. I love teaching these guys going overseas. I think that I'm teaching them something that might help them, in country. So couldn't ask for any more.
For more information on taking combatives here at Fort Dix, call Sergeant First Class Beach at 540-272-1858.
Sadly, Sergeant VanKlompenberg was never heard from again. And now, reporting from Sharp Field, Sergeant Keith VanKlompenberg.
In a change of command ceremony this past Saturday at Sharp Field, the 2nd Battalion, 315th Field Artillery was introduced to their new commander. Lieutenant Colonel Troy J. Ramirez is stepping in to take charge of the Training Support Battalion and looks forward to doing so with the same enthusiasm he's brought to all 3 of his previous commands. As a veteran of Operations Desert Storm and Desert Shield, as well as a tour in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom, Lieutenant Colonel Ramirez carries valuable experience to his new position, and you can expect him to bring a hands-on approach to passing on the lessons he's learned to the service members being trained here at Fort Dix.
I look forward to being with soldiers. I look forward to seeing the training of soldiers. I look forward to training soldiers. That is the top of the ice cream cone, if I can call it that. I just like being in the field.
Lieutenant Colonel Ramirez has some big shoes to fill as he assumes his new role. Lieutenant Colonel Gerald N. Dameron had been serving as commander of the 2nd Battalion since June of 2007. As Lieutenant Colonel Dameron steps down from command, he has nothing but praise for the new commander and is confident that Lieutenant Colonel Ramirez is up to the job.
I know he's had 3 commands as a company commander, so he has a depth of experience that a lot of commanders do not get, so he's coming in ready to take the mission.
Despite the wealth of experience he brings to the table, Lieutenant Colonel Ramirez says he's no tyrant when it comes to a command. And when asked what one message he wants his new troops to know about him, he has just one thing to say.
I'm going to listen. I'm going to understand the wants and the mission. And if my way is not the best way, then we'll do the best way, even if it's not my idea.
Reporting for the 139th MPAD, I'm Army Sergeant Keith VanKlompenberg.
Lightsabers